is Johnny Wrestling, or Johnny Takeover, as my shirt says. And listen, I want you to listen. Like, we're involved right now. It's crazy, it's loud, it's hectic. We're in New York City, but I want you to listen to No Holds Barred Network.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the very first episode right here of the Wrestle Forum Podcast, right here on the No Holds Barred Network, your source for all wrestling podcast content and more. I'm your host of this new show on the network, your self-proclaimed greatest host, your owner and CEO of the No Holds Barred Network, Kyle Masters. I'm joined by my co-host, as always. You know her as the EVP of Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies herself, Tiffany. And as you can see, if you're watching the YouTube portion of this podcast, we are joined by a third, our revolving door of guests that will be featured on this podcast. This one's a very special one, and special to us here in the network, especially none other than Darren from These Wolves. Darren, what's going on, man?
Not much. Thank you guys for having me. It's a very big pleasure. I always wanted to be on the podcast. So
technically, this is the second time we're seeing each other in a way. Well, you've seen Tiff a lot through the indie shows, but like we met in all three in person at Full Gear last year for AEW, which was really cool. And we got to meet your wife too, and that was really awesome too. Yeah, but thanks for being our very first honored guest here as we start this podcast on the network, guys. And if you guys want to know a little bit more about it, it's just a general discussion, roundtable discussion about wrestling, about where our guests are from. We kind of do like a small, tiny interview with our guests, and we're just going to keep featuring lots of people that are involved in the wrestling community. Darren is heavily involved in the wrestling community, which we'll get into on this podcast if you don't know. And yeah, just kind of like a freelance type of thing. No schedule. No. Let's do this at this time, this at this time, this at this time.
It's going to be very laid back kind of podcast.
I hope so.
I don't know. Let's see. Hopefully we'll
Yo, you're gonna throw in a sketch for us? You gonna Excel spreadsheet that?
Yes. Hold on 1 second. Hang on. Let me do that. Oh man.
Anywho.
Oh jeez.
But
so Darren, how are you? How are you doing with the quarantine? How's that treating you?
Good. Yeah, just songwriting and catching up on some shows. I just finished the first season of The Sopranos. I've never watched it before. Oh. So even though I'm from New Jersey, but yeah, catching up on that, caught up on Ozark, songwriting, and that's pretty much it.
See, I've never seen The Sopranos. I've always wanted to start that, but like going into quarantine, I'm like, okay, you know what? Like this is probably going to be the time where I'm going to be like, all these Netflix shows I have in my list that I've wanted to start, I'm going to get through. No, I haven't started one of those shows. B, I've just been rewatching The Office. That's pretty much it.
Great show, man.
It's so good.
I know. And then like on top of I started Ozark. So I think I'm only like 5 episodes into the first season. So I'm really excited to finish that. And then I watched Sopranos like years ago, like the first season. And then I kind of stopped because my ex wanted to watch it with me, and then like we just never got to it, so then I never finish it. So if I'm gonna watch Sopranos, I have to go back and start from the beginning because I don't remember anything.
Well, not for the cheap plug for HBO, but if you don't even need a subscription for it now to watch like The Sopranos or Barry or Silicon Valley, like they have all their free, all their shows pretty much free on there.
Oh wow!
The Rock that Dwayne Johnson is on there as well.
Nice.
So yeah, but you can watch those, but no cheap plugs here. Hey.
Maybe a cheap plug because maybe we'll get sponsored by them.
No Holds Barred Network sponsored by HBO. God. Okay.
Hey, there's no judgments here, okay? Like you just don't know.
Okay, anyways, yeah, there's that. I have actually subscribed to Crave. I've been already subscribed to Crave. before this too, and I've not started one show on there either. So I'm looking at my subscriptions. I'm like, why the hell am I subscribed to everything and I don't even watch anything? And this is the perfect time to be watching these shows because you can't leave the house. Well, I hope people are not leaving the house for, only for essential needs. But I can't stop everybody. But at least everyone's doing their part. Hopefully, everyone out there is doing their part. Come on, stay inside. Come on. The faster you stay, or the longer you stay inside, the faster this will all go away. It's that simple.
It's crazy. I was saying this offline to Darren, and then Kyle yelled at me to save this onto the podcast. But I was telling Darren that I'm kind of sad that all this kind of happened which we're going to talk about, because we need to talk about your songs made it onto AEW. And it's so crazy. So I wanted to celebrate with you at Synergy because I see Darren a lot. Because he works with Go Pro Wrestling as well. So I see Darren at a lot of the shows. And I was supposed to throw a party with a couple of their podcasters at Synergy Wrestling with Colin West. And I told Colin, I didn't care what he said, that I was coming in with a bunch of bottles of champagne because I wanted to celebrate.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Bit of the bubbly. So I'm really sad, but I'm so excited for when this does happen because it's getting sprayed all over you, Darren. Pop like.
Well, that's not very nice.
Yeah, especially because I'm going to be filming the whole night.
Yeah.
It's going to be sobbing wet.
Bring some splash guards.
You'll be all right. I'll get you some towels. Don't worry.
But yeah, that's exciting, guys. We don't know. Darren is part of an awesome band called These Wolves. They do a lot of cool songs. Again, like what Tiff just said, they were featured on AEW TV lately. They were actually wearing the Dead to Me t-shirt you guys can see live here on YouTube that Darren sent me. Thank you, Darren, again. I love this shirt. I've worn it before this all started. I wore it probably every time I had a day off and had to go do like errands and stuff outside. I had it on. Like I just love the look of this t-shirt. So whoever designed this t-shirt, actually, you know what? There's a question for the podcast. Who designed this t-shirt? Who was this?
His name is Kendall Johns. He does a lot of metal t-shirt designs. Like he got one done for Attila, the metal Attila. He does like Wage Wars kind of stuff. But yeah, I just reached out to him, and he had a design laying around that had a coffin in it, and I was like, perfect, dead to me. So,
dude, it's sick. I've gotten a lot of compliments with this t-shirt, especially my one buddy. I call him No Self Phil because he used to be a host on the network way back in the day. He's a big metalhead, and he loved this t-shirt. Like, he absolutely loved it. So he approves. From a metal fan, he really approves it. But yeah, they used the song Dead to Me on AEW TV. If you guys remember the whole MJF and Cody feud, they had that big promo package leading into Revolution. They used Darren's theme song in it, and I was like, I remember marking out hardcore when I first seen it, and Tiffany losing her mind too. Like I was like, oh my God, like like we use that song for our theme song, and B, like, oh my God, for Darren, like we were like so extremely happy for you. Like that's crazy because I got seen by everybody.
And I couldn't talk about it until it aired. So I was like, oh my God, it's the worst.
Driving you crazy, right? Like, oh my goodness.
Yes, but if it wasn't for you guys, that wouldn't have happened. But it was a year in the making. And because of you guys, like, thank you so much for featuring the songs on all of your shows, pretty much. But yeah, Mikey reached out to me, and I can't thank you guys enough for posting on Twitter. Hey Mikey, play this song because it paid off. So thank you guys so much.
Hey man, I'm not just saying because you're our friend here and we're using your theme song. I actually love your guys' music. Like I have it on I've downloaded them off Spotify and they're on my playlist. So you guys are part of my workout routine playlist. So
awesome.
It's the best.
At least one of us is working out to the line.
Well, not right now.
I'm working out the fridge, man. That's what I'm doing. I'm opening and closing the door.
I'm doing my crunches while opening the door and closing it.
20-ounce curls, you know.
It's so funny because it's like anytime like we become like with a new podcast idea for the network, it's like, okay, let's text Darren for another song. Okay, which song can we use, Darren?
It's like, screw the YouTube royalty library.
No, we go straight to the source. We want some good stuff that nobody else has, and it's just great.
Which is funny. That's where our first theme song came from, the original one for AEP. I literally scoured through the royalty library for maybe about an hour, close to an hour and a half, until I found that. I'm like, whatever. This finally sounds good enough. I'm like, we'll just do it. It's like when we were first starting out that podcast, we were like, nah, let's just go with it. We named our first episode Merp. Was it Merp or Yeet?
Yeet.
Yeet. Like, we have no idea what we were doing with it. We're just like, let's just start it and talk about AEW.
We were just having a good time with it. It was Listen, that's what it's all about, right? Like, it's about having fun, having a good time, enjoying what you like, staying positive, because it's always, like, we just like staying positive. And I mean, there's so much negative. Life is way too short, and let's just have fun. And I love talking wrestling with people that, that love it. And, it's just amazing. Darren, how did you get like into wrestling? What is your like first memory of like, in wrestling?
I remember my dad used to tape Saturday Night's Main Event for me, and he tried to do it without commercials. And he worked 7 days a week, so he would often fall asleep. So I would get like half the match. Like, and I was a Hogan fan back in the day, and so I would watch, like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and Macho Man, and they'd be like, Hulk Hogan's up next, and then I wouldn't see the Hogan match. So, but since then, like I think like Real American was like the first like song that like got me pumped. So I think that's why I wanted to, in the back of my mind, always do like wrestler kind of theme songs and try to do that kind of stuff. But the first feud that actually got me into wrestling was WrestleMania 5, Macho Man Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan. When Macho Man fell out of the ring and hit Elizabeth, and Hogan carried her into the dressing room and stuff, and they had that big feud. Like, that was the time I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. So, how about you guys? What got you into it?
You want to know the very first match I ever watched was, I think it was in, what year was that? That was either 97, 98, or 99. It was the Inferno match between Kane and Undertaker.
Okay.
That, I think it was Bad Blood, that pay-per-view was called. I think, or Unforgiven. It was one or the other. But the Inferno match was the very first match I seen, because I was in elementary school, and then the kid I was hanging out with, like, he kept mentioning wrestling. I kept brushing it off, like, I'm not gonna watch wrestling. And then he kept like telling me, you gotta watch it. So like, I think I remember like whatever internet was like back then. I just remember like searching up like free wrestling videos, and the first video that came up was the Undertaker and Kane, and I'm like, Inferno match, like the winner has to light themselves on fire. I'm like, wait, what? Like, that's a thing. And then I just remember falling in love with it, and I remember falling in love with the Undertaker, because Undertaker's still my number one favorite wrestler of all time.
98, Ray said. Ray's good. Ray's like an encyclopedia.
So he's like Tony Khan, who just like knows wrestling. Like, according to all the AEW stars, they just say like Tony Khan is so knowledgeable in the business that you can literally ask him any match from any date, and he knows it like to a T.
Yeah.
But thank you, Ray. Thank you. 98. Yes, that was the very first match I watched. I just remember like loving this Undertaker character so much at the time. Like, oh my God, like, this is cool. And I started looking up more Undertaker stuff. I got heavily involved with him. I started watching Raw, and it was just, I remember like going back to school the next day to the kid, like, oh my God, you should watch Raw last night, and like going nuts. And just from there, I just took off. Like, I was just hooked ever since.
Me, like, my dad was very big into wrestling, so I think it was like the early 90s that I started watching with him. It was just, I would like walk in the living room on like Monday nights, and I would see him in the living room watching, Monday Night Raw, and then he had the box, the illegal box, to watch the pay-per-view.
Oh, the illegal box, eh?
So we used to watch like all the pay-per-views and stuff like that. I don't remember which match it was. I think it was like Lex Luger. It was definitely Monday Night Raw. I just don't remember what match it was, but I remember. And then like as I got older, I was the real like Mark, and then I had posters of like my favorite wrestlers all over my bedroom and stuff. And I was like, get the magazines mailed to you, and then I was like, oh man, this is why the list of husbands started, right? It was like rip open.
Oh God.
See, the list of husbands kind of started like when I was very, very young, so.
Was the list of husbands was number one Lex Luger at the time?
Maybe, because I remember and when he was a heel too. So I remember him. I don't wow, I'm really digging back, but I remember him looking in the mirror back then, like that. He must have been the number one husband until Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, because those were my absolute favorites growing up.
I think Duffy wants to get in on the podcast there.
I know,
just seen him. He's showing you a donut.
Yeah, this big gigantic donut. Give me this. Come here. Got milk?
Yeah. Oh God. It's a big donut.
Seriously, here you go, Duff. But too funny. But yeah, that's what I remember all the way back then. So, but yeah, so how did you get into AEW, Darren? I know, I was kind of following a little bit of Ring of Honor and New Japan, which I kind of was familiar with the Elite, and I started watching BTE a little bit. So and then when I watched All In, that's what kind of got me sucked in, and that's what kind of I was Kyle, I was this is gonna be big. So how did you get into AEW?
It was actually Joey Janela, who got me into AEW. Not personally, I don't know him, but I was watching WWE religiously, and I started getting burned out on the typical WWE fan story. I started getting burnt out, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna stop watching it. It's getting bad. And I was on YouTube, and I saw a documentary of Joe Janela by Kenny Johnson, and he was he's from New Jersey, but he was just talking about the crazy bump that he took that almost killed him. Off this big hill into the car, and I just watched it, and I was like, oh, I gotta find more stuff that he's doing. So I started YouTubing him and got really into him, and then around that time, All In was happening, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'll check that out. So checked out All In, and then I was like, okay. So once AEW got announced, I was like, I want to be a part of this. I don't know how I can be a part of this, but I want anything to do with AEW, because I was just kind of sick of the WWE formula. Mm-hmm. So I was like, anything I could do. So when they first started, I started contacting Brandy Rhodes' manager. I had no idea. I didn't even know about Mikey at the time. I was just contacting everybody. I wanted to do something.
Yeah.
That's how I got into it, and then I started Googling or YouTubing the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega and getting into all that stuff. So it was actually Joey Janela who got me back into the indie scene that I started working with, Go Pro Wrestling and stuff like that. And it's been a whirlwind ever since,
Wow. It's funny, when Tiff mentioned that, she came to me and said, this is gonna be huge, and at first, I will, sort of admit I wasn't fully on board with it. I was it could be big, and I watched All In. I'm like, oh, it was good. I'm like, but do we know if it's going to be exactly like this? Are they going to follow suit? And then I think it was really, for me, the press conference that really did it for me. Just everyone, and listening to their words and just listening to them talk about this company that's going to start is just, and even the Double or Nothing rally it really got me into it as well. And in the Jericho thing, part of the press conference too, that's huge. Getting a guy like Chris Jericho to start your company and build behind it is massive. And this has been, again, this guy just seems to have one good run out. It just seems like his runs in wrestling just keep getting better and better as he ages. It's crazy. This guy's just going to keep going. And he's going to be an extremely incredible mind behind the scenes once he's done with wrestling. So to have a guy like Chris Jericho is extremely huge for AEW. So I think that it was around then where I'm like, okay, this is going to truly, and I'm going to, quote and pun intended here, this truly is going to be a revolution in the sport of professional wrestling. This is truly going to be something different than what where like you said, Darren, we're used to in the WWE formula, and I truly got burnt out because I started swaying away from the main roster and I started focusing on NXT because that was the style of wrestling that I was into. They were focusing more on wrestling than the entertainment factor, and the takeovers were so good. And then it's not like I didn't fall out of love with NXT, just AEW kind of took over. Pun intended there again. Like they just kind of took over like my love for what I love watching right now. So I still will give. There's still nothing wrong with NXT. I have my gripe with the main roster, but yeah, it was definitely the press conference for me that did it. So yeah.
No, it's crazy. See, look where we're at now. It's just great. So, Darren, so like you're kind of like into like the indie scene like me as well. So what do you think? Like thoughts, the indie scene? I mean, you've been like all over because of Go Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, there's some like really good promotions, and then there's some not so great promotions, but like you can see the passion is there. Even like I personally, no cheap plug to Colin, but I love Synergy. Like Synergy was my first show. If many people don't know that I am a camera operator for Go Pro Wrestling, and Synergy last November was my first show working there. So it has a special place in my heart, and I met Colin very briefly there, but like all of his cards, the matches are really, really good. The wrestling is always like consistently good. I really like that. I really liked Creator Pro when I filmed that. I really liked Wrestle Pro. There's an organization called PPW, which is in Pennsylvania. Really good.
That's a bucket list for me. I gotta get there. Did you see my guys' main event? Because they're so good.
Yes.
I love those guys. They're so good. Yeah, PPW is definitely what I want to go to. Gotta get Kyle to come back down here, then I can drag him to some of these.
Me.
Oh, I don't know. Come back to New York.
Yes. It's like what Darren just said there with some of the companies. Like you can tell that they're kind of like, you can tell with some companies like where the passion is and not. Up here, I have a friend that's in the independent scene up here in Canada, and he asked us to come to one of his show. Myself, No Self Phil, and my buddy Cappy, we drove up about an hour from where I live, and we went to his one indie show, which was in like this grungy old dive bar. Like it was during the day. The show was during the day, and it didn't turn into a bar or a club until the nighttime. So there's nothing happening during the day, and you can tell like it was like the event was kind of poorly run with seating and how they were getting organized and stuff, but you can tell in the wrestlers that were there that they were so passionate about like still giving a good show and everything. It was just incredible, and I gave props to all of them. Like it was amazing. So yeah, the independent scene is really fun. If any of you guys listening and you haven't checked out an independent wrestling company, like go out there and just check it out. Like it's sometimes you'll be surprised what you can find in the independent circuit. And take it from the indie queen over here. She knows.
No, I know. I'm all over the place. I love it. I keep looking for like new promotions and it's great. So I like the first show. It was so funny. I didn't even know that Darren was gonna be at Synergy, and then I was like, oh, you get to see number one husband in action. I was like so he got to see my number one husband, Anthony Gangone, in action. So I was excited for that. But yeah, no, I love the indie scenes. I mean, when Kyle came down to New York, I took him to House of Glory. So he got to see Santana and Ortiz. He saw Gangone. He saw, who else?
The Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, Leroy Green was there. It was just crazy.
The Great Muta showed up.
Yeah, Darren, you haven't gone to a House of Glory show yet, right?
No, that's on the bucket list now.
There's like bucket list. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
So
it was good. Like we saw Saul Monster was there. We met Jerry. We got to see like everything like being set up while we walked in there, and just saw a lot of the wrestlers that were wrestling then where they are now, like most of them in AEW, and just some of the other wrestlers there. I'm trying to remember. There were some other. I think Tajiri was there as well. He teamed up with Great Muta, and I think somebody else. And there was like a 6-man tag was the main event. And I think the Lucha Brothers were in it too. Like, it was incredible. It was sweet. But yeah, that was definitely really fun to do.
Darren, have you gone to a GCW show yet?
No. I saw you at ICW.
Mm-hmm.
I think
GCW.
like GoPro. I think GCW has their own camera crew.
Yeah.
So they haven't invited us yet to do it. Maybe, hopefully, in the future it'll happen. But no, personally,
you could just come to a GCW show.
It's true.
It's a little violent though.
I wanted to go to the one in Atlantic City at Showboat.
Yeah.
But I didn't wind up making it, and then the coronavirus stuff happened. So
that's it. My boy Ray coming through in the chat. It was Penta, Tajiri, and Great Muda against LAX and Low Key.
I wonder why Ray knows that. Does he work somewhere?
I don't know, Tiff. You tell me.
I don't know.
But,
oh man,
Darren, I want to talk to you about something. It's not about wrestling.
Okay.
Your band, These Wolves. I want to know how that all came about.
Okay, so basically, These Wolves is just me. I don't know.
You're the lone wolf.
I started These Wolves in 2016.
Okay.
I was in a bunch of bands before These Wolves, and I wasn't doing my own thing. I was a guitar player in one. I was a bass player in another. And in 2012, basically the music scene wasn't great to me, and I kind of stopped making music. And then like my dad passed away, and a bunch of different things happened. So I took a break for 4 years, like recording and actually pursuing it. And then I went into the studio. I asked one of my friends to record me, and I was just doing like acoustic stuff to get out of my head. And he's like, oh, and one of the songs was Dead to Me. And he goes, this should be like a full band song because it's kind of angry. And I was like, well, I don't know. He's like, come on, do it. He's like, I have a drummer here who can do it. We'll just hire him. I was like, okay. So it turned out to be the best decision that I was forced into making because it worked out so well. Like, yeah, and it's been nonstop for 4 years, just song after song after song after song, writing and recording it. So I have a ton of stuff in the bag that I haven't released yet.
Oh.
So yeah,
insider.
Yeah, a lot of songs. I have about 35 songs.
Wow.
That have not been released that are recorded, ready to go. I've just been releasing them every like 6 weeks to 2 months just to give consistency, because I know people have their own lives, so they can't just listen to a whole album now, because the music industry has kind of changed that way. So just single after single. And speaking of which, cheap plug, my new single, it's a cover of Suzanne Vega's Tom's Diner. It comes out May 8th.
Oh,
yeah,
I see that. I'm pumped for that.
Heavy rock song. So
all right, I'm pumped.
I'm ready. Add to cart.
So basically, so you're saying like These Wolves is you, and then everyone, I guess, like the other musicians are just people you kind of just hire on like to help you. Okay, that's cool. Okay. The
bass player, his name is Steve Kellner. He produces and records the songs. He's great. He's like the fifth Beatle of These Wolves. He's such a good person to work with. And then the drummers are usually hired. And then I have a lead guitar player as well, who's starting to play on some of the songs. His name's Ian. I went to high school with him. Okay. Super great guitar player. But the songwriting stuff is just basically me. Like I come in, I'm like, here's what I have, and then we just crank it out.
So basically, it's almost like a brand. Like it's your own brand, These Wolves, and also kind of like a band at the same time.
Yeah, I wanted it kind of like, because there's a singer-songwriter named Darren Fischer in the UK, so I didn't want to be me. So, I thought like Foo Fighters is a cool name, so I want something like Foo Fighters. So I was like, These Wolves, because it's like, oh, who made that song? Oh, These Wolves. I don't know who they are, like. I wanted something like that, so that's how it came about.
That's cool. You know what actually are really cool are your music videos.
Yes.
Like
so great.
Those are really well done. Like very, very well done. Like when I first seen the Dead to Me one, when we first got to talking, and I was like, oh my god, this is actually like insane. I've sent it to a lot of my friends. I'm like, guy, you need to check this song. This is awesome. Like, watch this video. And then when I started looking through, I saw the one. I think Isn't Enough is Enough is done like the Wyatt family style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent that to all my wrestling friends. I'm like, look at this. Like, it features the Wyatt. Like, this guy featured like the Wyatt kind of aspect to it, the sheet masks. And a lot of my wrestling friends got back to me saying, this is the coolest video I've ever seen. Like, and the song was awesome too. So those videos are really well done.
Thank you. Yeah. Enough is Enough. That girl in that video is my best friend's daughter. Okay. And then she's in another video called Something to Live For, which is like a happier kind of song. Yeah. So I want to kind of feature her. Like, that'll be like the Easter egg. Like, she'll be a bunch of videos in the future, hopefully. But yeah, cool. Thank you so much. But yeah, a fun fact. Dead to Me, it's pretty much a performance video, but there was actually like a story in it. But it was right when YouTube started like demonetizing for like vulgar content. I wanted to do like a Dexter kind of thing, but like do it to myself. So we did like we had the room. We actually put it like we had like that saran wrap stuff in there, and we did the whole scene, and we had to cut it out during the editing process. So, but yeah, it could have been a lot bloodier.
What's that? I seen her video not too long ago, and it was a weird song, and it freaked me out. But they featured it. It was an NXT Takeover song.
Poppy?
Poppy, yeah, that one song where she's like covered in blood in the music video. I'm like, what am I watching? Like, what is happening right now? And she's just dripping in blood, like just like someone just took a pail and just dumped it all over her. And oh man, she's something else. That girl. Interesting
Crazy.
Type of music, but.
So Darren, what are you gonna do like when all this goes back to normal?
Oh, I'm probably gonna. I can't wait to get served food, like even like at Applebee's or like at Chili's or something. I can't wait until I'm like, I don't have to like cook like chicken nuggets and like French fries.
What's the go-to? That's like the first thing like you want to eat.
Yeah. Like in the quarantine phase.
No, like when we get back out.
Oh, probably there's a place in Lodi called Lodi Pizza. I want to get that so bad. They have a Sicilian pizza. Oh my god! How about you?
Oh, I want Chinese food so bad.
Now, Tiff, that could be seen different ways now.
All right, let's not go there. Okay, I want a nice, big, beautiful steak. Okay, and I want to feel my god.
Fun you say steak. I actually have a place like. Number one, no matter what, don't care. No one can change my mind. There's a Brazilian steakhouse here in Niagara Falls where it's all you can eat meat, and it's $50 a pop. You go there, they give you like a little turn thing on beside your plate, and you flip it to red.
They keep
or else they keep bringing you food, and then at one point they bring around this grilled pineapple where they sprinkle a little cinnamon on it, and it's like. I don't know. It's like I don't think they put more. I think they put more cinnamon on it. I'm just saying because it's to die for, and it's so good. I'm going there as soon as it's done. I'm bringing Mrs. Masters with me. We're going. I got gift cards. We're going to that place as soon as this is all done. We're ready to go.
Road trip. Come on, Darren. Come to me. Let's take a road trip up to Kyle.
Definitely. And you have some good food by you too. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm in New York. Like,
New York.
You got all the damn restaurants. It's a shame because I feel like a lot of them are just not going to make it, especially the ones in Manhattan with the freaking rents and everything like that. So it's scary. But, like, even with the quarantine, guys, like, support your local, like, restaurants. Not, like, Wendy's and McDonald's. Like, your
that's not a local restaurant. That's a local chain. No, I'm not saying. I'm not saying you're saying that. I'm just telling the people, relax.
Relax. No, it's true. I try to go like I was for weeks. I was like, I'm not ordering anything in, but then I'm like, all right, like so like once a week I make sure that I support this one pizzeria by me. So like I'll get like maybe a salad or a soup, or like the other day I got a personal pizza. So and the guy, like when I went in there because I went to go pick it up, because a lot of them are doing like the curb curb pickup and stuff. So the guy like thanked me. Like he's like, thank you so much. And I'm like, I felt bad. I was like, okay, now I got to make sure like once a week I order from you because I don't want like when this is all over them not to be there anymore.
Exactly.
So
is it bad? I'm getting bored cooking at home.
No, it's everybody. The
Like,
thing is like,
I have
aren't you
stuff.
getting tired?
Like I have
don't
stuff,
want-
and I'm just like, I don't want to cook it.
Right. Or you don't want it.
I'm
That's
home
the
too
other-
much, and I'm getting lazy at home. But then, like when I'm at work and stuff, I'll come home and make food. Like it's just like, it's so weird. Like this is, I don't think anyone could have been ever prepared for this, especially because it happened so sudden, and it's affecting everyone in different ways. Clearly, if you look out in the world and what's going on with some people, but yeah, it's if you guys can, like what Tiff said, support like your local restaurants that are available right now that are offering takeout, and tip your delivery drivers the most. That's one I want. That's the big important thing. These delivery drivers are taking a big risk doing what they're doing. Obviously, they're staying safe, like wearing gloves and masks from what I've seen. But they're taking a big risk doing the stuff they're doing, and they take a lot of flack for it. Like so, my best friend, Cappy, who's another former host on this network, he's a delivery driver, and he's told me stories from the last couple of weeks that make me sick. Some people, he said he's been told straight to his face that he's not getting tipped. Like people are just like rude to him, like right off the bat. People are messing around with the orders. People are just like, it's crazy how much they still like, and they're so busy now because they're the only places that are open. So people are ordering like crazy. And I can't believe some of the stories he comes back and tells me. So you guys, to your delivery drivers, if you are ordering out, please tip well. I'm not saying you don't have to go above 25% or whatever. Just at least tip them and let them know, like tell them like thank you for doing this, because it's if they weren't doing this, we'd be screwed.
Right.
Like we could be in a lot worse situation that's happened around the world. But anyways, let's flip this. Enough talking about that.
Getting hungry.
that such good
Bye,
shit.
Guys. It's Taco Bell. Oh man.
God.
Yeah.
So we saw also too. Actually, it's cool as well. Not only was "Dead to Me" used, Darren's song "Enough Is Enough" was actually used as a theme song for like. Were you contacted by the wrestler to use your theme song, or did someone else contact you to say, "Oh, can we use this song for a wrestler"?
Mikey
okay.
Ruckus. He's the music supervisor for AEW. So yeah, he contacted me a year ago after you guys started contacting him to do the song, or you know.
Yeah, we're getting Mikey on the show. We're getting him on eventually on the show. We have to have a chat.
Definitely, I would love to hear an interview with him. But he contacted me and he was like, yeah, we'd like to use your song. And I was like, yeah, sure. And then he's like, okay, well, we may use it. And then months later, Dead to Me was in Cody and MJF, which I was super happy about. And then he's like, yeah, I think Shotgun Lee Johnson's going to use Enough Is Enough. It's either going to be on a Dark or Dynamite, not really sure. And yeah, it's going to come, but you can't tell anybody. I'm like,
It ends up being on both.
Yeah,
in the same week.
Yeah. So it's really cool. Like I can't thank Mikey enough for that opportunity. I hope I get more opportunities, honestly. But I know I can't be greedy with it. But I'm super excited that I'm contributing to the wrestling community because I love it so much.
Now we need this theme song, "Worth the Pain," to be used as another pay-per-view theme. Just saying, next year All Out AW, or next year's Full Gear. I'm just saying, official theme song, "Worth the Pain."
Yeah,
Mikey, we're gonna have a chat on the pod. Just saying.
Yeah, we gotta reach out to him.
Put a good word for you.
Slide in those DMs. I'm excited.
And Worth the Pain, if you like wrestling related content, I actually made a WWE 2K music video
I've seen
with me as for Worth the Pain, because before AEW I actually got the song Dead to Me and Enough Is Enough were used by a YouTuber named Chris Danker. He goes by Dank Ops on YouTube. Yeah. He does a lot of WWE 2K content. He used Dead to Me for Fire Pro Wrestling, and then he used Enough Is Enough for his Wrestle War series, which was WWE 2K related. But what he didn't tell me, he did tell me, but he was like, "Is it okay if I rap over the instrumental part of the song at the beginning?" And he's like, "Because it's not going to be like a weekly show and then pay-per-view for him. It was going to be," and I was like, "Okay." So the way he cut it was he had his rap version, and then he just cut it off when I started singing. So people like his, subscribers were like, "Oh, I can't. Chris's song is so great." I'm like, "What song?" So I made a video, basically like going into the video game. Like I made a creative person, like a creative wrestler as me, and I went to challenge his creative wrestler. So I made
That's awesome.
I gotta play with Ray.
The AEW, like I had to pitch the whole idea to him, and he didn't really care for it because like he was starting to get burnt out on the WWE 2K stuff. So he went another way. But yeah, I still released the video, so it's up there if you guys want to see it.
But here's a question here, because me and Tiff have completely different systems. What are you? Are you PlayStation or Xbox guy?
I have both, but I'm primarily a PlayStation. Xbox guy.
Yeah, Kyle.
I like Gears of War, so.
Kyle, get a PlayStation and come play Fortnite with me again like you used to. Damn it.
But yeah, I do have both. So.
Hey, but he says he likes Gears of War, and that's only on Xbox, Tiff.
I also started Uncharted because they have the free 2 games. So I picked up the free version of 1, 2, and 3. So I'm starting to play that too.
Awesome. Sweet.
Oh, there's so many games. Oh, it's crazy.
Just so many games.
Oh, can't keep up, man. Play Uno. That breaks up friendships. Fortnite. I find myself playing to like 3 a.m. with a couple of people. It's crazy. It's just I need to get out of the house. I miss wrestling.
Yeah, there you go. Ray in the chat. He's actually doing a universe mode right now on YouTube. He's like, we need to collaborate, Darren.
Yeah.
Definitely. I've been following his universe mode. I know.
There you go, Ray.
Yeah,
I love it.
definitely, Ray.
I love how he was teaming up with Joey Silver recently. I love those matches. Then like even Joey Silver's like, yeah, like he like shared it. I was cracking up. I love seeing a lot of the wrestlers, even like me and Kyle have like even earlier in the stages with Under the Ropes that we were interviewing a lot of these wrestlers. So it's just it's crazy. So, oh man. So Darren, what's the goal here? Like, you want to like work completely for AEW? Like, what's the end goal here?
I wish. I just want to be, just contribute as much as I can to the stuff that I'm passionate about, like wrestling and music. Just release more songs, see what happens. That's pretty much the end goal. My goal now personally is to get a wrestler who's appearing every week on AEW to have my song as their theme. But that's in Mikey's hands. So
hey, you never know. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see that. It'll be great.
I do have I want to remix a song. There's a wrestler on the roster that I want to do a theme song for. Like I'm gonna remix his song and then cover it. Kind of, and hopefully Mikey will like that, but I'm not going to name the wrestler. But yeah,
no inside scoop. No inside scoop.
The lips are sealed.
Okay, we'll talk offline. No, I'm kidding. I need the 411. Damn it, no. I'm a mess. Oh,
damn it! Because it's such good shit.
I can't. I don't even watch.
He's making the theme song for Kyle Masters. That's what he's doing.
There you go.
For when I become an AEW wrestler and I'm on TV bi-weekly.
Yeah. The master's degree. That's
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be my finishing move. That'll be the name of my theme song.
Power Drive, the poutine power drive.
That's never going to be a thing with if I ever became a wrestler. It's not going to be called
the Destroyer. It's the poutine power driver.
The poutine destroyer.
I like it's more nicer the poutine power drive. I remember like I was in like a PlayStation party one day and we were talking about like Kyle being a wrestler. We're like, okay, this would be his finisher move. Like I can't.
God.
Don't judge me.
I'm never naming my move the poutine pile driver.
Terrible. You see this? You see how he is to me?
I sound like a French Canadian bum wrestler, like a friggin' jobber.
Wow.
We all got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I guess.
There you go. And then you'll have Darren have your music, your theme music, and that's it. So you'll be all right.
There you go.
Tiffany, if you were a wrestler, what would your finisher be?
Oh, no. I don't know. I never thought about this.
Steal the Young Bucks, the indie
Didn't
taker.
you guys say it was like the Googleizer, like one day in the chat?
Yeah, the
I was like,
Googleizer.
if I like Giggleizer, but it was like the Googleizer or something. Like, I don't know.
The heartbreak kick.
The heartbreak.
And that's your see. It's a super kick, but you call it the heartbreak kick. You blow a kiss. You blow a kiss to them first, and then you kick them in the face. The heartbreak kick.
Yes, I like that. I'm
We've
done.
broken Tiffany.
I would never be a wrestler. I would, maybe a manager or something.
valet.
Like I don't know. Oh Jesus! They're actually in the chat. DX or NWO better faction?
Ooh.
That's hard.
And we can't count the WrestleMania 31 showdown because that was horrible. We're not. That doesn't count. We can't let that determine our decision here. So we got to go We got to go Monday Night Wars. Type of DX and NWO.
I wasn't watching during that time because I took a break for like a long time because I just got so caught up with life. So like, college, working a bunch of jobs, babysitting. So there was a long time. And then I was being like, I was like a brat, and in the sense of that all my favorite wrestlers were leaving WWE and stuff, and I didn't like it. So I stopped watching as well for a long time. And I just got back into wrestling maybe like 6 years ago. But I don't know. Like I can't with that because I love my Elite and I love the Bullet Club and with more current stuff. Yeah, I am not a fan of WWE. So, but kudos to anybody who likes it because I won't knock it. That's on you if you like it.
So you don't have a decision, cool. DX or NWO? You just don't have a decision on that?
No, I don't have a decision because I can't because I was to the scene back then with it.
Boo.
So I can't really go there. So what about you?
Boo this woman. Boo.
Oh, what? Oh, shut up.
I would say like NWO, like the five guys when they first started. Yeah, I liked a lot. Like that was my favorite part of the NWO. Like once they started like branching out, and there was like the Wolf Pack and they had like the LWO and like all this like stuff, and it was like all colors of the rainbow. But NWO, that's when it got like crazy. So I think like they just killed all the momentum from it. So I think I'm gonna go with DX on this one, though the NWO in the beginning I really, really liked because they didn't dilute as much as the NWO did. They kind of stayed strong. What about you, Kyle?
This one's tough for me. The reason is because I was more of a fan of DX when they came back in 2006, that whole just Shawn Michaels and Triple H era of DX. I loved every minute of all that because they just ripped on Vince throughout that entire feud and ended off with like rated RKO. I love that DX. I didn't like if we're talking about the era when NWO and DX were at the same time, like when DX first started and when they got into the later part, and then there's the NWO when they first started. I'd pick NWO. Just because like Hogan, Scott Hall, and Nash, those original three as the NWO was huge for that time, especially like Scott Hall and Kevin Nash at first jumping ship. Like that wasn't like a thing back then, right? That was, I mean, Hulk Hogan did it first, but when those two jumped over and, they did like a whole like takeover storyline, and Hulk Hogan ended up being the third man and him going heel for the first time in his career, that was huge. Like that was massive back then. If you go back and watch that night at Bash at the Beach when he turned, the crowd threw everything but like the chairs into the ring. Like they were so pissed and losing it. Like that was like the pure heat of like back then. It was so well done. And them all coming together and starting that NWO faction. That was my favorite. But it's tough because if the DX of 2006 started at the same time, I would have picked DX in a heartbeat. So for me, I'm leaning more towards NWO for sure.
Speaking of the NWO, when Hogan came out and turned heel, do you remember that Bobby the Brain Heenan, he like spoiled the outcome?
Yawn.
Yawn.
Yeah.
Oh man, I don't know. Yeah, like I said, there was a long time that I stopped watching wrestling, and I just pretty much got back into it because a bunch of my friends were talking like wrestling, and I was like, "How is wrestling nowadays?" And they're like, "It's good. It's so much better than when we were like young." And I was like, "Oh, okay." So I started watching it with everybody, and I was like, "Okay." And then my friend Jimmy, he's a ref, and then he was reffing in like independent scene out here. So then that's how that got kind of started. And then I started going with like a bunch of friends to like indie shows, and now like I just love it. Like, well, this is why I'm queen of the indies, but I can't. Oh man. Okay, Darren. So what match, I know we talked about this. We were talking about like your fan tweet. What match would you tell everybody if they were not watching AEW, right? What match would you tell them to watch that you think would bring them over as an AEW fan?
Probably Cody and Dustin.
That seems to be the ongoing answer that I've seen because, I mean, it was good. It was AEW's first 5-star match, and just the storytelling was just beyond. And when you introduce someone, I brought this up in the podcast, when you introduce someone to this match, you make them watch the promos, like everything from when they first started promoing Cody was going to have a match at Double or Nothing and being a secret opponent up until the match. You need to build them the story, and then when they finally watch that match, oh my God. It was good. I'd pick that match too. I mean, I had my matches, but like it was tough for me not to put that in my top 3.
Yeah, definitely. And even like Stacy, my girlfriend, she wasn't a wrestling fan before she met me, and I was watching it, and she was like, "Yeah, I don't like Brock Lesnar," and that's pretty much all she went. But she watched Double or Nothing with me, and that was the match that she was like, "Okay, I get why you like it now."
Right. Mrs. Masters too, like she didn't watch wrestling at all before like we started dating. When we started dating, and she found out I started watching AEW, and she started watching it too.
I got her into AEW.
Okay.
Relax
over there. Anyways.
I'm taking credit.
She fell in love with Hangman Page, and she loves that guy. That's her number 1, and John Moxley. I guess it's pretty tough competition for her number 1 with Moxley and Hangman Page. But yeah, so it's crazy. That's two. I mean, it's crazy to see like people that don't watch wrestling at all get a grasp for AEW, which it's kind of like their target demographic. They're kind of targeting, between 18 to 45, the people that are more sports, want to see a more sports-oriented type of wrestling, or maybe not have watched wrestling. They're kind of introducing it to them. That's why they're going to all those university campuses too, to kind of get that crowd in there, which is really cool as well. But that's, again, good answer. Like Dustin and Cody, that was so good. Like it was so emotional. Even like what happened after, it's just it's such a good match to introduce someone to.
Even like it actually depends on the person as well. Like if someone just liked like crazy stuff, I would say like Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks would be the match to watch, or the Hangman Page and Kenny Omega versus the Young Bucks. Mm-hmm. Like I guess it goes with the person, but like classic storytelling, probably Cody and Dustin. Yeah. But yeah, it kind of depends on you. But yeah, Stacey, she loves like Luchasaurus. She watched Luchasaurus when he was on Big Brother. So like the fact that like I was like, oh yeah, he used to be on Big Brother. She's like, oh my God. Started watching, and Jungle Boy. She loves Jungle Boy, and Orange Cassidy. Like, and she's been watching indie stuff with me. She starts, she knows her stuff now.
Oh, look at that! I love it.
She impresses me. So.
I love it. Man, I'm excited. I love it. I love when people like so go into the indie scene. It just brightens my day so much. And as I preach on Under the Ropes and Indie Talks, it's this is where a lot of our favorite wrestlers, even in WWE, like they started somewhere. They started in the indie scene. So that's why I always say support the indie scene. It's so important. And it's crazy, like we were saying before with AEW, that a lot of these wrestlers, when we were getting the build before the television and then they were signing everybody to the roster, it was crazy because I followed a lot of these wrestlers in the indie scene before AEW. So I was driving Kyle crazy when somebody I knew got signed. I was like, yes! I was like, this is so exciting. Yeah, I don't know who this is. I'm telling you, like Darby Allin, I always think about Darby Allin of how hard I freaked out to Kyle. Like I was like, I don't know who that is. And I'm like, this is so exciting. Like it's so great. It's great. And as I continue to say, it's like, instead of being like negative and watching things that you're going to complain about, there's so much wrestling out there that you can definitely enjoy. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of everything for everybody. You want blood, you got death matches, you want family friendly, you got a bunch of those shows. And oh man, AEW is great. I was not a big fan of tag team wrestling, and now I just adore it.
Wow. Yeah, I can't wait till this is all over and we can get back to crowds. Like wrestling's been okay without crowds lately, but my God, I miss hearing the crowd reaction for certain things and certain surprises and certain wrestlers that get that crowd reaction you look for. It kind of takes a lot out of it too. And some of the reactions you think you would get in a match as well. Like I do miss it a lot. I know they're doing good right now without it, and they're doing a very good job of it. Like even putting like the heels and faces at ringside. It's just I cannot wait to get that crowd back in, because that first AEW show that's going to feature a crowd is going to be so hot. Even like all sports in general, the first time they're going to get back with a crowd, it's going to be insane. Like like you won't be able to hear any, like ears will be ringing for weeks if you went live. I can only imagine the tickets for whatever show it's going to be. They're going to fly more. I think they'll sell faster than was it Double or Nothing? Guaranteed.
Bad with blood and guts.
I got a question for you. So now that it's got postponed, are you going to come to the Newark show now? Whenever it
well,
comes
my
back?
Rochester one's postponed. It says till July. I still don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to be all postponed again, or they're going to just be like, your money back. I hope you guys still end up getting blood and guts if they're able to do it. I'm praying for you guys, but I don't take this the wrong way, both of you. I truly think it's going to get rescheduled again, and it might be in another city.
Oh yeah, it's not, I have a feeling it's going to be rescheduled to like next year, like because the way that it is here in like New York, they keep closing everything. The pool's already closed for the summer. They're already saying like concerts and sporting events isn't going to happen to next year. And the other thing too is like when you think about it, like are really people going to rush out to want to sit? Even like a concert, like, are you really going to want to go and sit next to somebody like how some of these places are? I mean, Kyle's been to New York. Kyle's been to the Barclays Center. Kyle's been to Madison Square Garden. You see how big that is. And, like how many seats there are. Like, can you imagine like the thought? Because I'm going to worry. Even the indie scene, like I'm still going to worry. And it's really going to change a lot of the things in life. So I really think it's going to get rescheduled again. Did you know, I didn't talk about this before, but the Jericho Cruise is already sending out like pre-sales next week. There's an email that went out that there's looking still for February 1st of 2021. But it said that you could have the choice of it being refunded or, if it gets postponed, you can save, your booking.
Mm-hmm. That's going to be tough for Jericho too. I understand there's going to be the rich people out there that are going to have the funds, but it's going to be tough for a lot of people that fill in a lot of the spots in that cruise that like people are not going to be able to afford this. Like people are going to have to think like long term. Like if this thing's going to keep going, you're going to have to, like people are have to put their priorities in the money that they have now and start planning out for the future. And this cruise, is not a main priority. So I know the rich are going to fill in as much as possible. They're going to have that endless amount of money no matter what. People that are still working and have the benefit of still working will fill the cruise. But it's going to be kind of unfair to the people that really want to go but they can't, right? It's tough. It's going to be really tough to look at next week when they finally go on sale, and me included. Like, I've always wanted to do that, and I'm just sitting there going like, I physically cannot do that. Like, and personally, I don't want to right away until I know that there's going to be and this is just my personal opinion out there. People don't yell at me for it. I don't think until there's a vaccine and everyone can get vaccinated and there's, we've gotten this under control, I don't want to do anything with big crowds. Like, I have people in my family that are extremely high risk that I live with. I cannot do stuff like that and put them at jeopardy. So just the way I am, I guess.
And has any like provinces in Canada like reopened? Because I know like Georgia and Florida reopened their.
Nope.
No,
everything is still. Our prime minister will not do anything until this is done.
Man.
Yeah.
All right, let's get off this topic because he's getting like depressed. All right, me and Kyle used to do a coffee podcast. Are you a coffee drinker? What's your favorite coffee? Like,
I'm not a coffee drinker. Stacey makes fun of me because like I'll just like say a flavor in an Italian word. I have no idea what I'm talking about. So yeah, I was like, yeah, I drink coffee. I drink a vanilla bean frappuccino. She's like, that doesn't have any coffee in it. It's like, oh. Same thing like alcohol. I don't drink alcohol either. So like, if I'm like, yeah, I bought a White Claw, or whatever, and they're like, yeah, that's not
a White Claw.
Like, George Hella drinks it.
They're addicting, man. Like, the black cherry one is so good. It's like drinking water. Like, go ahead, Kyle, make fun of my accent.
I was just gonna say it's not White Claw, it's White Claw. White Claw. White Claw. But
Kyle has so much fun making fun of my accent. Like, especially when he came here, he's like, I'm gonna rip you the entire trip. He was like, the New York way, right? Oh, you like how I say dog, right?
Yeah,
it's
dog.
A dog. Dog.
Here's my dog. Your dog, sir? No, that's my dog. Don't touch my dog. It's a different type of dog. Anyways, yeah, I mean, coffee for me, I like my flavored coffee. I can't get any right now because the K-Cup store, the lady won't even let anybody in anymore, so I'm kind of SOL for that. But I don't know. I have to try this new coffee they just started having up here in Canada, maple coffee. So you get your coffee. They put a shot of maple in it, and then they put a little bit of whipped cream on top and little maple bits on top of the whipped cream.
I still need to make my trip up to Canada. Like, I need to try some poutine. And oh man, what was it? There was something else. Smokes, was that the place? The poutine
Smokes
place?
Poutine, yeah.
Yeah, Darren, you're gonna come with.
Oh man, Darren, this place is.
I've never been to Canada. I always wanted to go.
So there's this place up here. It's a chain. It started out as a single place. Now it's built itself into a chain. It's called Smokes Poutineery. So you go inside, and it's literally like a big giant menu board of like 20 different styles of poutine. You can have like a pierogi poutine. You can have Philly cheesesteak poutine. You can have pulled pork poutine. Like and you get a hefty amount of this stuff. Or you can just get the traditional, which I do because I'm basic. I get the traditional poutine, and I just tell them to put extra cheese curds in it, and But if you ever come up here and you want to try Canadian poutine, go to Smokes. I highly suggest Smokes because it's going to be as authentic as you can get.
Isn't poutine like Canadian disco fries? Is that pretty much what it is?
Yeah, I would. The way that probably we would think of it would be the disco fries. I mean, it's not. It's different.
Disco fries.
Yeah, disco fries. A lot of times it's like French fries and cheese and scallions and gravy.
Okay, the cheese matters though. It's cheese curds.
I know
I think
that's what makes it different in Canada than here, because I think you do cheese curds, and I think depending on the place here, there's different types of cheese. Like you can do mozzarella, you can do cheddar, you can do like all sorts of different cheese. So it really depends. Don't make fun of how I say mozzarella.
Mozzarella.
I went to Chicago for all out.
Put the mozzarella on the poutine.
It's the Sicilian way, man. That was the way I was taught. It's mozzarella. That's the Italian way. But it was so funny because when I went to Chicago to All Out and I went for pizza, and I was like, "Look, what's in this pizza?" Because I was like, "If I only eat mozzarella," I was like, and she was just like, "Well, we got mozzarella." And I was like, "Oh,
I know what your mozzarella is. We got mozzarella."
That's the Italian way. Shut up. Like that's how I was raised to say it. So never mind the big, thick, Queen's accent. And Duff really wants it on this video, but he won't let me pick him up. Too funny. Oh man, we out. We're gonna go get some food. We're gonna watch some wrestling, and yeah, man. So
everyone, stay safe, stay home, wash your hands, do what you gotta do, watch some wrestling.
Oh my god, there's so much wrestling. There is so much wrestling, and I love the fact that even a lot of like the independent scene, like they're pulling things out of like vaults on the IWTV that's like never seen before on the apps. I mean, even things like on Fight TV, even other podcasters where they're doing watch-alongs. They're watching like New Japan stuff, or I mean, me and Kyle just did All In a couple weeks ago that we did the watch-along. So a lot of your favorite podcasters are doing this. Even the promoters as well. Promoters are running shows where they're taking best of matches and putting it onto a pay-per-view. Like Synergy did that a couple weeks ago. It was like a $5 pay-per-view, and then Synergy teamed up with Matt Tremont's promotion H2O, and they just had one a Sunday night that was like $12. So it's like very reasonable too, and it's great because it gives you a taste of promotions that maybe you've never seen before. So I'm gonna get Kyle on the GCW train.
So YouTube needs to screw off with these watch-alongs, because I wish we can just put the thing on the screen and you can see our reaction to it. I hate how you can't put what you're watching on the screen. He's like, copyright issues. Yeah. Drives me nuts, man. It's nice to like even like hang out like in a Google chat. Like Queen of Venice, she does a lot of those. Like she should be in a Google chat and she's talking with people as you're watching the pay-per-view. So I mean, even like a lot of the podcasters, kudos to you guys, because it's like you're trying just as hard. Like me and Kyle have been trying to build up a lot of stuff with the network as well. Try and put more into it. Some days my brain's just so fried from being inside. My creative juices do not flow. Like my creative juices flow when I'm at work and I'm doing stuff outside. Like I'll think of something and write it down. But like when I'm sitting here, I'm sitting in front of my computer. I'm like, think of something. Nothing comes to mind. It's been tough. It's been very tough. And like I try to get influence from other people, and some things like, oh, maybe I should try that, and then I'll lose interest like 5 minutes later. God, like it's been so hard.
You'll be all right, Kyle. It'll be all right.
It's a grind. Even music, it's a grind. You just got to keep doing it. You never know what's going to hit, and then once you find it, you just keep doing it.
That's it.
That's the formula that I've learned. Like, and some of like Beautifully Miserable, like that's a song like I would never ever like write, but I wrote it and I was like, I'm just gonna release it, and it became one of Tiffany's theme songs on one of her podcasts, and like that's great.
Indie talks.
Indie talks.
But it's with anything. Like any idea that you have, just work, run with it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know. Do what you love, right? That's it.
Yep.
That's why we're here. So, oh man. So,
well, anywho. Rihu, yeah. That's how we say it here. I don't know. I think I don't know. Are we done here? What are we doing? I mean, we kind of just freelancers, right? This is why we're talking about scheduling, Tiff. Like I don't know when to stop when I do these freelancing. Usually, like we have a scheduled AEP, we get to be an Elite Review, and then I'm like, okay, now we can end the show.
Well, you know what? That just means that we're just gonna have to bring Darren back another time, so we'll get like an update. Everything goes back to normal, and I mean, Darren's one of our best fans, and he's doing our music for us. So Darren's not going.
We're doing his music for him. Correction.
Yeah. So
I'll get you in the booth.
There you go. You can record the Queen of the Indies.
The only way to be. No, definitely. So no, Darren's not going anywhere. I mean, like I said, just beware like when this all goes back to normal, and I'm coming with champagne. Like I am. And we're gonna record it for the podcast, and we're gonna cheers to it. Maybe hopefully when all this comes back to normal.
You need to order a little bit of the bubbly from Jericho's thing.
A little bit of the bubbly. maybe Kyle will come down, like we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe we can get Kyle to come down to New York or maybe we'll eventually like me and Darren can come up to Canada. So
even a Newark show, you have time and still Kyle.
He's that far.
You guys are going to keep pushing me. I'm going to have to come.
He's a 45-minute flight to me. 45-minute flight. So I got you, Kyle. I pick you up in not even 10 minutes.
I was upgraded coach like I did last time, and it was nice.
Oh my God. I think the funniest thing with that whole thing was that Kyle was like messaging me like before he was getting on the flight and things like that. And he was like just keeping tabs. And I told Kyle like the airport's like not even 10 minutes from my house, right? So it was just so funny. So he gets on, he's in the air and he's like, Jesus, he's like, I'm going to be coming down already. And he's like, did you leave yet? I was like, no. He's like, leave. And I'm like, relax. It's not even 10 minutes from my house. And like, I still got there and he still didn't land. It was the most funniest thing. He's like freaking out. And I'm like, don't worry, Kyle, I got you.
Just freaking out in coach with some free Wi-Fi. That's what I was doing.
Yeah, see? It's not that serious.
It's funny because I was doing it. When I was buying a ticket online, I was like, upgrade to coach for $10. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm doing that. Then I'm like, okay, let me look at first class. It was like 150. I'm like, no, not for 45 minutes. Absolutely not.
Not for 45 minutes.
There's nobody in first class.
That's what I was saying. It's only 40. He's only 45 minutes away. That's why I said even if it's not an AEW, maybe he can come down, like I said, to like a synergy show. So I mean, I still gotta drive to Jersey. But again, like I said, I see Darren a lot. So I see Darren at a lot of shows, which is great. So, so we'll definitely the three of us will be back together again. So I'm definitely looking forward to that.
For sure. So Darren,
and you owe me a pizza, Kyle.
I do. We do. Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm so mad we didn't take a picture on Full Gear. You know, like me and Tiff were going at it like for weeks on end after Full Gear. Like, why didn't we take a picture with Darren? Like, why didn't we do that? Like, I think it was just like there's just so much going on that weekend. It just completely like went over our head.
It really was.
But we beat ourselves up at. We're like, why didn't we take a picture? Like, this was like podcast like content worthy. Like we were gonna put the picture on the show. And I'm just like, why did we not do that? And like. Oh, so much happened. Like, remember I left. What did I leave there?
You left dinner too.
You left your food. Yeah, you left your food. Whatever. We're not gonna talk about that trip.
In the hotel. Oh yeah, we went through shenanigans at the hotel after. But I bought the Full Gear poster that I can't buy online because they won't ship to Canada, and I left it in the lobby.
Yeah.
I tell him all the time he's got to ship stuff to me. At least he knows I have it.
Well, my best friend has a
P.O. box.
P.O. box right over the border here, so I can just start doing that now.
Whenever they reopen that shit.
I don't want them to open that border until this is done. Like you guys,
not
saying you, but you guys over there, stay over there. Anyways, Darren, I do want to thank you for coming on today for the first episode of Wrestle Forum Podcast, man. It has been great chatting with you, learning about these wolves, learning about yourself in wrestling, and we're so proud and happy for you to have your themes so far shown on AEW TV, and the future does look bright for these wolves, and we're so happy to have you part of this network in some way, man. So thank you very much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. Like, I'll come on anytime. So.
Oh, you're welcome anytime. 100%. 100%.
Oh, yeah,
you're
coming back.
Yeah. Tiff will make sure.
Yeah, definitely. Me, I'm persistent.
So, guys, we hope you like this first episode of Wrestle Forum Podcast. We're going to do a lot more freelance stuff like this, featuring a lot of people in the wrestling community right here on this podcast. So make sure you do drop a like button down below on the YouTube version of this podcast. If you did like it, share it on Facebook, share it on Twitter, Instagram, whatever social media you want to share it on, share it right now. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube as well. Everything does help, but most importantly, hit that like button. That sends it to the top in the YouTube analytics, so make sure you are smashing that like button. Make sure you're following the network on Twitter at NHB Network. You can follow myself at Real Kyle Masters. You can follow my co-host at Loves to Dream 82. You can follow Darren down here on social media. Put all his links down in the description below here for you guys to follow and click. And I'll put these Wolves links are already there because I put the theme song there as well. So all those links are located down in the description for you guys right now. Thank you to all our listeners that are listening on the go for downloading the episode. You guys are much appreciated. I keep up with those analytics, and I keep up to see what you guys are doing. A lot of Apple Podcast listeners out there, so thank you to all you Apple Podcast listeners out there. Make sure you're giving us a nice 5-star rating on those Apple Podcasts. Definitely would truly help. And it's probably going to wrap it up. So, guys, on behalf of myself, Tiffany, she's the EVP Giggles, the Heartbreak Chick, the Queen of the Indies, on behalf of Darren from These Wolves, this has been the first episode in the Wrestling Forum Podcast. See you guys next time.